All right, guys. Now, there are some new campaigns coming out later this week, but I wanted to get in this video now because there's some good updates, some new campaigns I've not shown you guys at all yet that are active right now, and in fact, some that are soon ending. So I wanted to get this in and get them the limelight they deserve before the new wave comes in. There's always more coming in, but for now, this is definitely the highlight. And some really interesting talking points. There are some games coming out that is like from 2 years ago. So it's been crazy. We didn't think this would even be possible, but here they are. It's wild. It's wild. Plus, at the very end, there's a little bit of a tease that it's from a bit of an aggressive developer, to say the least. So at least, I don't know, maybe they seem a little pomp. You'll see. You'll see. I promise. Okay, so first things first, the Necrohamster Looting Hell. So I've covered the Necrohamster before. It's a small little card game that allows you to be able to summon, all these different monsters and do all this fun little stuff and this cool art. It's really nice. It's real art made by real people digitally, but still. And it looks great, of course. And it's one of the great traveling game. So if you ever are out traveling and want to bring a game that's kind of fun, the Necrohamster definitely. If you want to get some coworkers into it or something like that, this is something you could easily play in a break room or even something. I've done that before, so like it happens. It happens. Yeah. Anyway, this is kind of cool. So the Looting Hell. Well, first of all, you can get the regular game as well. And Looting Hell does need it, so they have a bundle as well. What Looting Hell does is actually quite a bit. It adds a whole bunch of these other cards. Let's see, 13 new unique designs, 45 creature cards, a new title card, 3 artifact cards. These artifacts are kind of cool, but people can take your artifacts as well, but they're really powerful. Increases the player count from up to 2 to 6 players, which is pretty cool as well. And there's actually a whole host of other changes as well. For instance, with the expansion, they rebalanced the dynamic between the attack cards and the defending against these attacks. New creatures have arisen to replace the spirit horse and spirit ram. So this fundamentally rebalances and skews a few things as well, which is kind of interesting. That being said, I wouldn't count this as something that's like fixing the game or whatever. The game seems fine on its own. So if you look, that is about $16 for the expansion, or if you need the base game, it's about $21, or if you want the bundle, it is about $34. So $34, you get the main game plus the expansion, so lots of game there. I like these little card games. They're very cheap, which is nice. Low shipping, which is nice. You can play them super quick, which is nice. Beautiful art, which is nice. There's just a lot of nice things about them. I dig it. I like it. Okay, next up, very different game here. Here's Aces and Armor. Aces and Armor has 25 days still to go and has made almost $80,000, so they're doing quite good there. This actually looks kind of cool. I kind of dig it. A lot of these games are very skirmish-like, but this one not only does it have missions, but though you can play as skirmish as well, but it's even up to like 4 players, so it's like a 2v2 kind of thing as well, which would be kind of neat. And they have these really interesting tiles here, not tiles, but little posts here to count their damage and their experience, so they get to actually experience kind of like an RTS, old school RTS, where your unit, if they survive, gets stronger and stronger, which is kind of cool. I really like seeing that. They went and unlocked every single stretch goal they had, which is also pretty cool, of course. So if we scroll down here, that's not even. Oh, we'll look at the rewards here. So it's about $69.99, so $70 for the Aces and Armor game, and you can get extra minis if you want for $25, though not really necessary, I feel. And then this Trench Club, our previous published board game at a 25% discount. This is kind of the same kind of game, but a lot more oomph to it. This new one is a lot more streamlined and a lot more forward-facing because the first one's World War I, so it's a lot of these trenches, and you're in the trenches. So these static front lines, right, which are kind of a little bit different. So anyway, you move around, you declare attacks, you do combat, you can repair and deploy, and they have all these different factions and stuff like that, which is Pretty darn cool. Now, if I go to stretch goals here, you'll see that because they made more than their first one right off the bat, that boom, they just unlocked everything. So tougher box, coin embossing, linen finish, missions to the rule book, thicker dice chart, organizing tray, hourglass, thicker unit mats, and a tilted stand for the bomber, which is kind of fun. So it can come in like that. I think that's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. I dig it. So the shipping, free shipping. Free shipping. Are you crazy? Oh my gosh, craziness. Free shipping. Love it. I think that's awesome. So those prices, to go back to that, by the way, again, pretty much include shipping. So $70 for the base game, and you get shipping involved. And notice they're not spamming you with a whole bunch of add-ons or anything like that. This is a straightforward, well-reviewed system. It's got like an 8 and an 8.8 for their previous Trench Club one. This is a streamlining version of that. So I'm assuming pretty darn good game. That's just cool. And again, free shipping. I love it. I love when indies come in and do a great job, make a quality game that people really enjoy, that's highly rated, and benefits the consumer. Free shipping, that's awesome. Love it. That's great. Oh, it's like competitive co-op and even solo. So there's an automata that you can also do, which is pretty darn neat, I think, anyway. Okay, next up is The Veil Bloodlines Season 4. This is interesting. I've covered this before, but in the day and age of AI art, this is also kind of interesting. Now, I've covered this before on their previous ones because it's the same typical, not typical, I guess, per se, but, you know, the deck building kind of game where you're purchasing cards to remove them or whatever. Kind of reminds me a bit of the DC deck building game where you're like either removing cards or gaining cards and stuff like that. There's a whole lot of really cool factions in this one, right? And notice it's... This is indie, right? It very much is indie, and so it doesn't look the best. The images are kind of small, stuff like that. Though they've improved some things to have some cool gifts. The green tier is 55. The blue tier, again, I don't know why they name them these. They're not very intuitive. The blue tier is the campaign tier, but like they have to name it colors, and they did last time too. Make it double if you want to do essentially like the same person versus the same person. You get 2 core boxes. You can do that. And then the red tier has this like wooden crate that you have all the cards into, or and then the black tier has 2 of those for, you know, people that are doing that. Now, one thing you'll notice very quick is the AI art. They did use Midjourney to make a lot of these images. They have been touched up, so there's an artist that helps that, and they have that in their like acknowledgments or something like that down below. They give them credit for that, which is nice. But yeah, it's just a deck building game. You pick your person, you're going against somebody else. You have your cards, and you're trying to get stuff, right? So it's really cool. I think that, you know, they're still doing this. It was the season 4, so they've been doing this for quite a while. They got vampires. They got Sing of, I don't even know what that one is, but Dampier. They got Nosferatu, right? They have the Crusader, the Monster Hunter, the Demon Slayer, the Judge, the Lycanthropes, the Darok, whatever those are, Mimics, right? We got Skinwalkers. Just Plague Doctors, really cool themes. Sin Eater, Pardoner, Dungeon Keeper. I love it. A Tinkerer, Engineer, just keeps going. Artificer, War Machine. That's a lot. And they're pretty cool. So I like the art. I am kind of a fan of the art. I realize it's AI art, but it still looks pretty. It looks kind of cool. Definitely not for everybody. As you can see, they've been unlocking all these different things, right? So there's certainly a lot there. I think it's cool that they're doing that, for sure. But it is AI art. Be aware of that. It has been since like the beginning. It's been a long time they've been doing this. Is what, the 3rd one they're doing here, which is pretty cool. But really, what you want is probably the blue tier. From my understanding, the blue tier comes with about everything you'd want. So the green tier is not bad. That's the core box, $55. Boom, you got it. The blue tier, $89, and you get the campaign, a physical campaign, plus some other digital campaign stuff going on there too. Now, if you look at the details here, so this will take me to the rewards page on Kickstarter. There are a lot of add-ons you can do. As you can see, there are 3 others, right? So this is the fourth one. These deck building games can pretty much go on infinite, like a TCG, so just be aware of that. So if you look at all the different things you can add to, say, the core game, right? They do have card sleeves, then they have allied packs, enemies and allied packs. We got 4 of those. We got Between Worlds expansion. Then you got several different campaign books, right? Then you have game mats if you want to do that. And then you have the other box sets. Now, each box set is $55 as well, just like the current one that they're doing here. So it's box set 1, box set 2, box set 3, and now box set 4 is what you're getting. And then there is that card crate if you want the whole thing, and you can add that for $120. So that's everything. It's a lot for sure. But if you do like deck building games, maybe check this one out, see if it's something that you kind of like, especially when it comes to the cards. Now, that being said, they do have a warning that there is some like graphic violence and stuff like that in it, so it's definitely a more adult-focused deck building game, just as an FYI. All right, next up, Deep Regrets, the Unfortunate Fishing Game. This is an interesting one. It very much is an interesting one. It's like Cthulhu, but you're a fisherman. Which I think summarizes it fairly well. $40 or 40, pounds. It's $50. 50 USD. And you get the game. The art looks fantastic, which is really, really cool. It's a strategic horror fishing game for 1 to 5 players. To go with your strategic horror fishing game collection, of course. It runs about 30 minutes per player. It's kind of cool, actually. You're busy, getting all these different cards and delving into it deeper and deeper, trying to catch it, and you have like a reel, and you're trying to like fish them up and stuff like that. And it's all about getting regrets. That's the deep regrets, right? So you try and do stuff and it doesn't work out very well. Honestly, this seems pretty cool. I like it. I want to see make port, sell fish, tackle, mount trophies, right? Amass regrets, go mad, eat things, abandon ship. It seems pretty wild. There is a solo and co-op mode to it, which is also pretty cool. There's a lot of mechanics in play, so I'm not going to try and like necessarily explain them all, but they do a fairly good job if you actually read the page and read through it of actually going through that. The video is just kind of fun, but it doesn't really show you a lot of what you can do necessarily there, at least at a detailed level. It is in English and German, by the way, as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, about $50. I'm showing $52 here for Deep Regrets, and I really like the art. I think that's one of my favorite parts of it. I think that's pretty darn cool. Next up, on GameFound, we have Kemet, Rise of the Gods. This is at 400,000 raised, doing quite well. 3,000 backers, so 32 days left. They do have this big box. They're trying to decide black or white. Obviously, black should win, but you know how it is. Either way, 8.0 on BGG, which is pretty awesome. That's cool to see. This has a whole lot of different options to it, right? So this one has the God mode. It has where you get to like summon your god. Think like old the Age of Mythology computer game if you ever played that. You have the amber tiles. You have the amethyst tiles. You have a 6-player expansion if you want to play with 6 players. You have a team mode. You have a solo mode. And a big box to put this plus the last Kickstarter in all right there. I think that's pretty darn cool. So, yeah, the Returning God Pledge, if you're just coming back from the first one, it's $83. Really what you're looking at here, if you just have the core game, like say you bought a retail or something like that, $177. If you want the core game plus everything else that they've offered, $254. So $250 for a miniature game that's 2 different campaigns deep. Not too bad, but it is, still kind of pricey. Here's all that stuff. Again, all that is included in the all-in pledge, though. So just as an FYI. Not all, I guess not like their old like other games and stuff, just the Kemet stuff. They did add the hippo as a freebie, so that's the current stretch goal. They're going to add another one as well, but we don't know what that is. They're going based off backer count, so they need 941 more backers to get that. That's a big increase. That's a big increase. I'm not sure if they'll get that or not, but they do have 32 days left, so maybe there's plenty of time to gain more. That being said, that means it's going to be running and then DC United comes in or something like that, right? Which again, more on the new stuff coming up later this week. So stay tuned for another news video here to go over some of the new stuff coming. All right, next up we have the Flames of Fafnir, a physics-based board game. This is by Lucky Duck Games. This is a preview page, so this, and I'll link down to it plus everything else in the description below, of course. This is kind of interesting. It's not really a game I would play, and I don't think I have kids young enough to really appreciate it, but it looks nice. Of all these kind of games, this is probably one of the ones I would play just because of how it looks, which is kind of neat. And as far as I can tell, no apps. This is Lucky Duck Games without an app, which is not something you see every day, though now they're doing a whole lot of stuff as a company, and so more and more stuff is not app-based, of course, as well. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is a dual-layer main board, which is kind of neat. And essentially, he has these, like, he's breathing fire, which are these marbles that come down and knock over bits of your city and stuff like that, and you're busy trying to, obviously not have that happen. So you're collecting, you're building, you're slaying, and you're praying is essentially how that works. Now there's movement that you get to do, and you're building up different things and doing different mechanics to the typical Euro style kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. But this is pretty fun. And this, by the way, the miniature is the fancy pledge, right? Otherwise, you do get and like retail probably have this, a dragon that still looks pretty cool, and he's painted, which is nice as well. But to actually roll out the marble that way is kind of what it'll do. But yeah, anyway, you do get a lot of these kind of little tiles, and again, it'll knock down stuff. That's kind of the whole point there. Very terrain focused here. I think for some, this might seem a little toy-like, and I can understand that. There are some expansions. There's a Ragnarok expansion, which, by the way, as a preview page, let them know your thoughts. So again, link down in the description below, where there's actually 3 new dragons that do different things. Like one of them deflects them, one of them adds new stuff to it, right? As you can see, you get more marbles that are going to be coming down now from that. You also get a little wolf, which is fun. It says it'll help or harm. I think wolves should always help. I don't think wolves should harm. The Valhalla expansion, which adds all these like altars and stuff that get to do different things, plus a whole lot of different terrain, including like the ramp. So in other words, it like goes back and stuff like that. So they're doing some interesting stuff when it comes to that. They got some big names showing it off. So if you want to look at those, you can, of course. Now they're looking at €79 for the basic pledge, and I think that's a terrible name. Calling anything basic just sounds bad. It's like you don't want them to pick it. Like, is this just a pledge tier for like to make the collector's pledge look better or something? Because who would want to be like, yeah, I want to spend money on the basic one, right? Like just call it the core pledge or the retail pledge or the base pledge, even more than basic. Basic sounds bad. Collector pledge sounds fun and is, I think, quite apt. You get a 230 millimeter Fafnir plastic miniature, which is pretty neat. And that is at about €160. So it is pretty pricey. There's a lot of terrain and stuff like that. And like I said, even the main board is dual layer. So it's a very premium game for sure. Just not something I would necessarily play. All right. Also, there is Sovereign Fall of Wormwood. Now, this used to be called Wormwood. Obviously, that didn't work because, even though it's spelled differently, there's the whole like Wormwood table company thing that sells like overpriced wood and stuff. Sovereign is now the new name of it, and I think Sovereign is a cooler name anyway. And this does look really, really cool. In fact, I'm going to say it now, this is probably my pick of this video. I will probably back this. This looks really cool. It's definitely something I'm interested in. It is not a TCG, though it has a lot of TCG sensibilities to it. Instead, you have pre-made decks. In fact, based off of what you can get here, the $55 gives you 6 pre-constructed decks, whereas the $75 one, this is one I would probably get, gives you 10 pre-constructed decks, 320 completely unique cards. They are not repeated. You will not be fighting against the same card that you see. You will not be seeing a repeat of the card that you see. You're playing all these new ones. You're all going after these echo cards and stuff like that. All in different deck boxes and stuff like that. Honestly, it's pretty cool. Notice these citizen tokens, 100 of them. This is kind of like a Civ game hidden in a TCG with combat that's like a little bit more detailed, which is kind of unique. I think that's pretty darn cool. Each deck has 30 unique cards in it, which is also nice. I think that's awesome. The art, again, 32 different artists. God, that one looks great. Like, all of these look super good. So cool. So cool to see the real art here. And I think they look fantastic. You score 10 echoes any way you can. Build them yourself. Steal them from other players, right? This grow is kind of the citizen or the civ part of it, right? Your citizens are born to 2 possible casts, talents, and drones, right? I think it looks nice. I think it looks pretty cool. There's 2 different areas that's a move here, right? So you can move them from one to the other to create different synergies and stuff. You always draw up to 8 hand cards, so you always have options, so you never feel like you don't. I mean, there's a lot I like about this, guys. And again, I love card games. I really do. So this one looks cool. The art looks fantastic. Look at she is scary. There's like people who like ride crabs. That's like a whole faction. Is just like these crab riders, which is freaking sweet. They do have these playmats and stuff like that. So there is like this ultimate all-in collection, but I don't know if you necessarily need that because it does come with all these like fancy dice and stuff, which most of us have quite a few other dice. I'm not sure I really need that though. 32 8-sided dice, that's quite a bit. Right? So there is a lot there. You get the 4 playmats. Obviously, that adds a lot to it. And you just need 1 playmat. So you don't need 4 playmats, right? Though they are pretty, of course. And then you do get the sleeves. Honestly, if I was to do anything, right? So you go and you get the $75. So you get all the cards, right? Because it's all about gameplay, right? And then if you go to the add-ons, and we'll look at stretch goals here and AI as well. So if you go to add-ons here, neoprene playmats, and it says choose from 4. It has plural mats, but really you're adding 1 play mat, I believe, for 22, right? And then you pick one of the 4. So that's where that high price comes in, is you're getting all 4 of them. Custom forged dice, I don't know if you necessarily need that. It's nice, I suppose. And for $18, you get 30 or 8 engraved 8-sided dice. I think you got 32. The player who prefers them to not to, whatever. Anyway, that's fine. The card sleeves is what I would go for, right? 520 card sleeves. That gives you all the ones you need with the functional back on it. $50. So it'd be 75 plus 50 for that, and then you have a fully sleeved card game if that's what you're going for. Now, if we're going to go to stretch goals, let's go ahead and see what that's all about. They've been adding it's kind of interesting, right? And so they have all this cool art here, which is nice, right? They added some more full art citadels to each faction, right? They do have this. Look at what they're doing now, though. They're going to a $1 shipping discount, and then another $1 shipping discount, and then some acrylic citizen upgrades. So it's interesting to see the little shipping discount stuff there. And then finally, use of AI here. What parts of your project use AI-generated content? The illustrations of the game were created by 32 artists in a variety of mediums, both digital and analog. Most art from the game was created and licensed years before generative AI even existed, but the finished project won't be AI-free. Some newer pieces had AI used in the ideation stage. Some are paint-overs of AI pieces or use generative fill to expand the borders of the illustration. So they've been using it as part of it, but it's still very artist-focused, which is pretty cool, of course, as well. And no living person's names or works were used in the ideation prompts. I like seeing this. I think that's kind of cool. I like that they're kind of specifying that. Very neat to see. And in fact, they even said here, Adobe Firefly's generative fill is trained on licensed stock photos. So in other words, paid for stuff there as well. Yeah, pretty cool. I like this one a lot. I like it a lot. I love the theme. I think it's cool. I want to play the crab riders. I think that's freaking sweet. By the way, that's one of the crabs. Yeah, looks cool. I dig it. They made over 1,000 backers now. They're almost at 100,000 raised. Good for them. I think that looks awesome. Okay. Now, this is a cool update. How many of you guys remember this from like 2021? Millennium Gate Legacy is now what it's called. I think it was this Millennium Gate before. You might recognize, probably not this yet. You might start to recognize this. Do you remember this? Now, they have standees versus minis, right? Though then they show minis as well. This was like a huge game. It had so many different heroes. Crazy. I showed this off so long ago. I had a lot of feedback for it. They're still working on it. They got all the deck building. A lot of this is actually the same pictures they had before, the same art they had before. A lot of it's the same, though they've been really changing things. Like I said, this has a a D thing. They still are doing some funny stuff with the bases though. But yeah, no, it's a lot. I showed this off quite a bit. Notice here they do have the minis. The minis still do look very nice if they're able to actually make them. That would be pretty cool. I do like most of the minis. This is a Kickstarter exclusive guy here. He looks pretty neat as well. They even have estimated shipping here. The core pledge, right? It comes with a ton of stuff here, like a lot. And then look at this, Hero STLs. Now, so they're doing STLs, they're doing standees, right? I like the STL idea just because I can actually print them. I have a printer. Kind of interesting. They're looking for $55 for the core pledge. Don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Again, this is a preview page. You can give them feedback. It'll be linked down in the description below. Interesting to see how this come. No, it's 2025. This is coming out next year, guys. So, which is less than half a year away at this point, but you know, whatever. Okay, 2 more updates, or one real update and a little bit of a tease. Okay, so here's the June update of the Shadow Tactics, the board game. Now, I covered this a long time ago. This is the second launch of it to try and get this game out. It's been forever. It's been years late. People are very upset. They actually got a print preview copy. A PPC arrived with what looks to be a real game. Wild. That being said, they need to get a new quote because obviously there's going to be a cost associated to get this to you. So stay tuned for that. If you were a backer, obviously, just know that it might actually be a real thing now. It's been a long time coming for sure. What do you feel about that? For so long, there was nothing. And now suddenly they are actually making like real progress. The game comes out, I generally like it. Like I said this a lot with Mythic games as well. And I do try to be consistent while also ever growing my opinion, not just being a staunch, oh no, my opinion never changes either. If something new comes up, new information, changing scenarios, I just mature in my thoughts, you guys convince me otherwise, all sorts of stuff can happen. But in general, I like it when backers get the game, regardless of anything else. If backers can get the game and it wasn't a complete waste to those people, that's great. So where that quote comes back from, I don't know. Whether it was smart to launch other campaigns and stuff to be able to get this to this point, I don't know. But we're here now, and it looks like it's going to be a real thing. So that's actually pretty cool. Overall, this makes me happy to see that it's a real thing. It's a cool video game, so I'm glad the board game finally might actually be a thing. Now, this next little bit of a tease is for a Stellaris update. If you don't recall, I cautioned the Stellaris campaign heavily because it was obviously not like a thing. They're 2 years late right now. And still late even from what this video says, which is like an August launch date is what he was hoping for. Not going to happen by the looks of it, considering we're in July now. That being said, I'll link down to the video because I'm going to show part of the video. This will be coming out in a future video. I don't think it's going to be a dedicated video, but it might be a video covering stuff like this. So I'll obviously subscribe and stay tuned if you haven't. Yeah, the attitude towards backers to me is just always interesting. It's always interesting. So here's a little snippet from this is I don't know how it's UWE. I forget how he pronounces it. I want to say U, but that's not what it is. It's like Uva or something like that. Either way, he's kind of the owner of the company, and he's talking about Stellaris and about how it's made a lot of money and it still makes a lot of money, and there's some angry people online about it, but he has some words for them. So here, watch this briefly.
We're still getting $10,000 a week in new backers. Okay. You know, so the 50 haters, you know, come to me and face-to-face tell me, instead of online, just tracking and following us and other publishers. So, okay,
So indeed. I guess I understand haters. Trust me, I do. But I don't think that attitude is the correct one to necessarily have either. And I don't think making money while not delivering a product is something that disproves anything that those haters are probably saying. We'll dive into it more, right? There's like, I hope you die kind of comments and stuff like that. I'll get into it. But that is coming up. So if you want to see more of that, obviously, again, there is that. I'll link down to the whole video down below. Don't go bombarding, like with like negativity or anything like that. I'm not sure that's what they're wanting here. Looks like they already have some like backers that are upset on the video itself. But at the same time, you can see what he said. And again, I will be covering it in a future video. So you can also stay tuned for that to hear my thoughts further on it. But anyway, that's it for now. Not to end it on a negative note, because I'm actually super pumped. Again, Tuesday is normally launch day, so this next week comes some really cool campaigns. I'll tell you about those, tell you which ones I'm looking at, what I think about all of those. So stay tuned for that, of course, as well. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.